going to be a pleasure to take you through this series. Shopify Rebellion up against Cloud9. Like we say, this one is more than likely going to dictate who's going to top the pool. Of course, Dan will say there's an open bracket team that can come in and cause some carnage, some chaos, but more than likely you're safe. If you win this game here, it should put you on the track to top the pool.
I mean, if you ask some of the Aussie fans, apparently Mindfreak are going to come in and beat every team and win the whole thing. So you've always got to be very mindful of these open bracket teams.
They're beginning to believe.
They're beginning to believe. Well, we can take a look at the series layout, and obviously this is always my favorite part of when we get into discussion, because this is what's going to shape up how these teams are going to perform. It is a very good series layout for Shopify Rebellion in the first 3, but then it starts to get better for Cloud9 in the back end of this series. So if Cloud9 can take one, maybe that Aquarius Slayer, I think that this might be one of their best opportunities with the series layout to actually take down SR.
So you think that game 2 is going to be where Cloud9 really make their bed? Because if they can win that game, of course, you say it gets better in games 4 and 5, but of course, they have to get to 4 and 5.
I'm heavily expecting games 1 and 3 to go in favor of Shopify Rebellion. So if Cloud9 do not win Aquarius Slayer, this, in my opinion, will be a 3-0.
Well, it's time to stop asking questions and start finding some answers. Shopify Rebellion, all those superstars on the stage, they want to make a statement of intent in this series on the main stage, Dan. And up against Cloud9, they're going to be a tough test, but one that Shopify Rebellion will need.
Now, you might remember Shopify Rebellion beating Optic 250 to 83 last event on this exact map and mode. It is one of their better maps and modes. They are 4-1 across the season, 3-0 at the last event as well. And I fully expect Shopify Rebellion to come out hot here against the Cloud9 roster, who aren't bad at this map and mode, and they will be heavily reliant on Sabinator, an average of 1.67 KD on this map and mode combination, so he is going to be a key feature here for C9.
He is really a player that goes under the radar a lot of times in these series, and maybe he can make a statement, make it big, and really put some pressure on these big players, on the likes of Frosty and Royal 2. Who have you got your eye on in this game to make the difference?
Well, Royal 2, I mean, I just mentioned that Sab, a 1.67 KD. Royal 2 has a 3.64 KD on this map and mode combination. He's been disgusting.
We're underway, on board with Royal 2. Not quite at the start of the series. Is it still too early to say shields of weapons? Either way, we are now on board with Sabinator. 4 dead for Shopify Rebellion, and the perfect start for Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud9, if they can kind of shut down Shopify Rebellion early, don't allow Shopify to get set up and show that dominance that we've seen over and over again, then maybe C9 can just get a little bit of a lead here, just ease their way into this game and shut Shopify Rebellion out.
Sometimes that might be the issue. Will Shopify Rebellion even give you the opportunity to set up, to get comfortable, get your feet under the table, collect with the camouflage and the sniper rifle, hesitant and reluctant to shoot. Does finally reveal himself over towards the nest, pops the shields of Frosty, but doesn't manage to hit the head, so Frosty's going to survive for now. Sitting back green. And unfortunately, Kuhlect did not clear it. You've got to clear your corners. Body shot from Frosty. Already finding great value with the sniper rifle after Kuhlect's, I don't want to say, I'm hesitant to say blunder, but it was definitely a misplay.
Well, I mean, oh wow, okay. We mentioned how Kuhlect was kind of willingly and freely, daintily running around the map against Z10 and just having a field day, right? It was like a playground for him. However, it's going to be very different here. You have to be aware of your angles, have to be aware of positions where you could potentially be pushed by, and it is not going to be as free as it was in the previous series.
You have to ward off complacency. That could be the enemy. Because the first series didn't really put you to the test, you've got to make sure that you do not make slight errors against Shopify Rebellion, because they'll punish it.
And it is a tale as old as time with some players that are very good against teams that are lesser than them or perceived lesser than them, but they really struggle against the big teams because they just fear the names they're going up against and maybe doubt their own ability. And I really hope that is not the case for a player like Kuhlect, but it's been a difficult up and down road for Kuhlect in his career, it has to be said. I mean, for a time he was being touted as the next big thing. He was going to be that global superstar, but in the end, you look at names like Cykul and LastShot instead that have really kind of taken that throne.
And for Kuhlect, he's been a little bit of a journeyman as well, right? He's been on so many different teams and ultimately been dropped. He hasn't really found the right fit. And perhaps with Cloud9, this is a little bit more his speed, a little bit more his style, that he can start to showcase some of his skills and ability. Currently sitting at 1, 2, and 5. He needs to pick it up, as do the rest of the team. But it's 59 to 40 at the moment, so Shopify Rebellion with only a slender lead, and this is actually pretty competitive for Cloud9.
Yeah, slender lead, but remember, Cloud9 did start initially with a good advantage here. They will get a tri-cap again, and they are going to be able to get taken down by Royal 2. So he's found that camouflage, and if Royal 2 starts to go to work, if he gets anywhere near that average KD I was talking about on this map, it's going to be so difficult for C9 to do anything, Because when there's that many kills going in favor of the opposition team, you're just going to find yourself in the death screen far too often.
You mentioned if Royal 2 goes to work, it looks as though he is clocked in, ready to go. I don't know if he gets paid by the hour, but one thing, he does a lot of damage on the server, and I think it has to be said as well. Congratulations to him, he's just become an uncle, and indeed to Royal 1. A massive congratulations from us, the team, on the birth of your baby boy. Gorgeous. But for Royal 2, he's finally actually hit Unk status.
He has. Look at you. You become a dad, and now you're aware of everyone else's babies being born.
You're tapped in, something else is unlocked. It's like a skill tree you didn't know you had access to.
But I'm sure he was delighted to hear that news from his brother, but now he can lock in, knowing that everything is well at home, and look to try and win a trophy here in Salt Lake City. And it looks like that trip cap is going to be reversed now. Shopify Rebellion will gain control, and it has been heavily off the back of Royal 2 controlling the map and finding kills here.
Slides in.
I thought he was about to absolutely blast Cykul in the head.
It's like he hesitated for a second because he wanted to hit the face instead, but Sab just ducks on the sniper rifle scope, and unfortunately that means Royal 2 will fall. So finally, his reign of terror has come to an end. Green being threatened to be converted, but ultimately LastShot goes down. A and C now will flip, as will B, so a lot of shenanigans happening on the map, but Collect's got the sniper rifle to play with 3 bullets in the magazine.
So it's been a bit of a tug of war, and it's been a heavily scored tug of war as well. One team will score 40 to 50 points, and then it transfers over to the other. And what that demonstrates is both teams are good at holding the setups when they have them, but also both of them demonstrating a great ability to break setups at the same time, but they're just taking their time to break those setups, which sometimes you have to. If you start rushing out one by one and just beating kills, it's going to offer too much to the other team.
I think it's important, isn't it? You recognize that, okay, we're down in numbers. This is not the time to try and push and break the setup. You recognize, let's give away a few points in the short term to set ourselves up for something better in the future. And Royal 2 hitting some lovely shots on the bubu dubu back tower.
Must be so nice to play alongside a player like Royal 2 with the way he commands a game and the way he can just find a relentless amount of kills. You get that freedom. The freedom I was speaking about that Kuhlect had in the series against Z10, you get that as a player if you have someone like Royal 2 on your team. I
think it instills so much confidence in you, right? Because you never have to worry about what's going on his screen. You know he's making the right plays, and he is always going to be hitting those shots. But a triple kill. Speaking of hitting shots, it's Count Dubu going to work.
Clocks in, but then sadly has to clock out after the triple, and he will be taken down.
Short shift. Short shift,
but a very important one indeed. Cloud9 do start to score once again. It's not going to be a trip cap this time though, which could be significant because they're not going to catch up as much as Shopify Rebellion just try and take their time here, regroup to get back up to a 4 before they push, but it looks like they've been able to just split them up a little bit so they can move over towards A. Good shots by Cykul.
Good from Cykul then. Starts to convert B for his team. Steps outside to contest. Settled for a trade with Sab. Now it's a numbers advantage for Shopify Rebellion. They now control A and B. And it's whether or not they're looking for the C cap as well. Looking for the triple to really lock it in and score as many points as possible. Sab's going to spawn over here towards A. Frosty hits the body shot. That's all he needs. Sab tries to run away, but absolutely cut down. And the Iceman hits the face as well to follow.
If he had hit that third one, I think the headset might have been thrown across the room. It's very good early signs from Frosty. If he can start to do stuff like that when he's cold, imagine what he's going to do when he starts to warm up. He's
always cold. Cold as the bathroom floor, they say. He's not done. Ooh. Sab just about gets away with it. Royal 2 is there to spare the blushes though. 3 dead now for Cloud9. That's going to mean B will be converted again, and bubu dubu is going to spawn right into Royal 2's crosshairs. That's not where you want to be.
It's been a really good passage of play for Shopify Rebellion to now gain a 60-plus point lead, going up to 70, and I do think that was safe from you.
Oh, you didn't want to do the math. 60-plus.
60-plus.
Played it safe.
I was going cross-eyed, just looking at it and counting up, because they were still scoring, but Cloud9 now may have just let this one slip a little bit too far away, because even if they do regain some control, get a trip cap, it's still, there's plenty of time for Shopify Rebellion to regroup and take an attack here.
They have really given themselves a lot to do here. It's a 3v3 on the map for now, though. Bubu dubu is going to be in a 1v1, settled for a trade. Camouflage for the last shot. That's bad news for C9, though. A and B in control of C9, but can they hold it now? Because Shopify Rebellion can play this one patiently and just wait for an opening, wait for a pick, and it might come now, and it does. LastShot gets the opening, but it gets traded by Avucy.
I will say one of the biggest differences has been the sniper rifle control and the ability to hit those no-scopes. There's one thing you'll see from Shopify Rebellion, in particular Royal 2 and Frosty, they really do command the game with no scopes. They are constantly finding that body. They don't necessarily need to find the head, they just know they need to tag that body, do the damage, and then it gives them the advantage on the map.
Sometimes it is just better getting the guaranteed damage, making sure that the player you're fighting is going to be one shot for either you or a teammate if he runs away. But Cloud9 are keeping this very competitive, Dan. All of a sudden now, starting to grow in confidence, starting to get back into this game and eating away at that lead.
The Frosty Royal 2 pinch happens though, and they will pick up 2 kills. Potentially it was going to be a third, will be a third because LastShot was waiting on the other side of it, of the QT, and now Shopify Rebellion finally will regain control. I say that, there's competition, and B will not be taken. So that's good acknowledgement from Cloud9 to say, look, we can't just give these up for free, we have to start fighting harder for them.
So B will remain in control of Cloud9 for now. Is there a player in position to get the reset? There is now. Sab will fall down bottom middle. Cycle's in the respawn screen, but has just popped back up again. So a slight numbers advantage for Shopify Rebellion now. As Frosty sits top middle, waits for the sniper rifle, pops the shield, dubu, eliminates him from the equation as well, drops down and skips away with the sniper rifle in his hand.
Yeah, this is big for Shopify Rebellion. As soon as they didn't have the sniper rifle, when it ran out of ammo, that's when Cloud9 started to put more points on the board. But now regaining sniper control, can they take advantage once more? It's Frosty's time to shine, and again, just another no-scope. Big impact moment from Frosty.
And the issue is, he looks to be in a precarious position there, right? He should not get a kill. In a 1v2, it should be an easy cleanup, but that's what the best players in the game do. When they don't have the advantages, they still manage to make something happen, a little bit of magic, and you equalize the equation.
Although, bubu with a flank does able to at least get the pick and get one of the members of Shopify Rebellion, but off spawn, they are so quick to join one another and make sure they force that trade, and now it looks like maybe we're getting to the final stages here as again Shopify Rebellion scoring.
I almost feel like so much has happened on the map that we haven't even really had an opportunity to peek in and see what's going on Cykul screen, and we're not even going to get the opportunity here. Because Shopify Rebellion will close out the game, and he hits the shot, although it might not even have counted on the scoreboard. But what does count on the scoreboard is Shopify Rebellion won to the good.
Didn't count on the scoreboard, but certainly is a statement of intent towards the other team, because they learned a very valuable lesson. Do not allow so much freedom with the sniper rifle for the Shopify Rebellion roster, because they looked so terrifying when they did have control of it.
For C9, looked competitive for large portions of the game, but it's what you talk about when you come up against some of these upper echelon squads, Dan. When they get the opportunities to capitalize, to hurt you, they'll make you pay. And that's what we've seen from Rebellion. In the end, a 69-point lead was enough to close out the game. Taking a look at the stats as well, damage on the map, looking at Frosty, 6,500 and 6k for Royal 2. And on the other side of things, Kuhlect was struggling again, just under 4k for his team. Needs to increase his influence and his output on the map.
All right, so that's the first expected map mode going in favor of Shopify Rebellion. That one gets ticked off the list, but now the big question mark heads towards Slayer Aquarius, where I believe this series is going to be won or lost for Cloud9. If they can take this one, it gives them a real opportunity because they can get to Oddball Recharge, one of their best maps and modes, and maybe, just maybe, get to that Game 5 of Slayer Solitude.
The whole series might rest on Game 2, you have to say. It's on Cloud9, and we always say that the teams that are perceived as lesser than the lower seeded teams, this is where you have your opportunity to win the Slayers. They're your breads and butter. There's 2 Slayers in every series. If you can pick up an objective along the way, you'll win your series. But for Cloud9, with the way Game 1 went, they definitely have more than a chance.
Definitely, they're playing well, they're playing together, they are not giving too much to Shopify Rebellion. I just think there needs to be a little bit more control of those power weapons. The sniper rifle kind of got away too easily for me. Sure, there was a nade here or there, and you saw Frosty in those final moments was able to escape, get down bottom middle on no shields, but you then need to be hunting him down. You can't just let him disappear, let him get away with a sniper rifle. You need clear comms to say, that sniper rifle is bottom middle, let's shut him down immediately, rather than allowing him to suddenly get behind you, pull up a no-scope, and then you are down on that.
It really is. It's like you deal with the problem here and now, because otherwise if you let him survive, he'll move somewhere else and be a problem again somewhere else on the map. You've got to take care of it, take the sniper rifle out of his hands. Even if you don't end up using the sniper rifle yourself, force him into difficult positions and make them make mistakes, but we just didn't see enough of it in Game 1.
Well, Slayer Aquarius, it is a map and mode that we did see Shopify Rebellion lose to FaZe last event. And sadly, only Royal 2 was the member that was above a 1 9.0 KD. Everyone struggled when it came to Aquarius Slayer against FaZe, which I guess is a little bit of a surprise, but again, if you look at the success we just saw from Shopify Rebellion, mainly focused around sniper rifle, power weapon control, map control, Aquarius sometimes can just get away from you if you fall behind. It can get a little bit snowbally, and perhaps FaZe just had that little bit of extra control in the early stages, and Shopify Rebellion could not wrestle it back. For Sab, on Cloud9, he is going to be the man to watch yet again for this roster on this map and mode. But again, no one has been above 1 KD for Cloud9 when they played Aquarius Slayer. So we're looking at a Slayer game which is bad for both teams here.
That must be said for Aquarius, like you say, there are no power weapons or power-ups really to keep track of. Of course, you do have one sitting top middle, but for the main part, you don't have rockets to deal with, sniper rifles to deal with. So when you have a good opening break, you can then extend your lead and keep teams at a distance, and there's no shotgun to deal with that being GA'd. You can always keep yourself in front because you know you don't have to worry about certain things in the map that you can contest at any given time. It's just one power up, sitting top middle that you have to deal with every couple of minutes.
Yeah, a lot of it can be about wrestling with these spawns, trying to prioritize pushing a team if they are on odd spawns as well, if they are spawning separately, and taking advantage of having that extra player on the map. As already we get kills underway, bubu-dubu's gone down, as has Frosty, and LastShot falls 2.
Royal 2 faced with 2, and he's got 1 in his back as well. So the Cloud9 Swarm is successful, 3-1 on the scoreboard. Map control though, not really set in stone at the moment. Both teams still jostling for position in the early days. 2 members of Shopify Rebellion positioned over towards the locker, or closet, depending on what you want to call it, engine, some people might even say. Lots of call-outs, but it is one solid position and a good one to keep control of if you're on your team. So 3 dead now for Shopify Rebellion once again. This is a good start for Cloud9.
It's another hot start for Cloud9, similar to what we saw in the previous game, and it's going to keep going. 8-2 now, another double from Avucy. Lottie was asking, how was he playing in the previous? Well, now we're getting to see him on our screens, on the main stage, and seeing how he fares, not just against any odd team. It is against Shopify Rebellion, one of the best teams.
For Shopify Rebellion, it is really the question, Dan. Where are they on the trajectory from our first major? Are they trending upwards or downwards? Because, of course, the last one, they beat Optic Gaming, but they fall to FaZe. So lots of question marks still around this team. Are they able to get the job done over the likes of Optic Gaming in the big series when they get to a grand finals? And this is the perfect time to answer those questions.
Yeah, and often I would sometimes put it down to game types and say, maybe the game types just weren't in their favor. But when you've lost to Optic now across several best of 7s, that's when you start to be concerned of, do Optic just have our number when we get to these best of 7s? Because they beat them in the best of 5s, which sometimes can be very dependent on the map schedule. However, when it gets to best of 7, you've got that extra little bit of leeway, and maybe Optic's map pool is just a little bit deeper than Shopify's, or it was at the previous events. Perhaps that's something they've been working on coming into this one.
I think you make a great point. You do have that in the best of 7, that little bit more margin for error. You can drop that extra game that would be proven a little bit too costly in the best of 5, but at the moment, a 2-kill advantage for Cloud9. bubu-dubu and Sab will fall, as will Avucy, so Royal 2 will venture forward over towards bottom carbine. The player sliding out towards front yellow as well. LastShot's got the camouflage. It's back-to-back now for Shopify Rebellion. So just like that, power-up's being scooped up, and Shopify Rebellion doing a lot better job of navigating the map.
Could be another camouflage to work with here for Shopify. Remember, there was an 8-kill lead for Cloud9, and that has very quickly disappeared.
Uh-oh! I'm mad at Frosty. I'm upset.
Hey, as long as the kills go in your favor,
nope,
you don't need the overkill. He might care about it later on, but he's like, I did almost have an overkill on main stage, didn't I, Frosty?
Can I talk to you and break you down and take you to my head lore?
Let's just take a minute.
My head lore.
Yep.
LastShot and Breaking Shot are both brothers. They just don't know it. That's my head lore.
Long lost brothers.
It's the Shot brothers.
Yeah, I can see it happening. Both very good at Halo, so that helps. It does back up your theory. At the moment, LastShot has not needed backing up at all. He has instead just been a one-man army pushing, trying to find these Cloud9 members who are a little bit all over the place, but finally gets called out, and it's still going to be a Cloud9 advantage, but only by 1.
The game has slowed down considerably here as well. Both teams acutely aware of the stakes, as it will. 3 dead for Cloud9. About to be 4 as well. So now, Shopify Rebellion, this is where you worry for Cloud9, because you can start to manipulate spawns, you can start to stagger them, and you can see immediately Cloud9 are putting the back foot. And Shopify Rebellion know exactly where they are. Sab in a 1v1 will get taken down, so that's a great opening just to relieve a little bit of pressure and take some space for C9.
I think the biggest difference is going to be if we see Shopify Rebellion take a lead like Cloud9 did of around 8 kills, it's unlikely you'd see Cloud9 coming back from that. And I think that is what separates the likes of Shopify Rebellion and Optic Gaming from the rest of the field, is they are far better at closing out those games when they have those kinds of leads. I think a lot of teams, especially the teams around kind of 5th to 8th seed, when they have a lead like that in the very early stages, they are still full of adrenaline. They're still full of, oh, we've got these kills in the early stage, let's keep pushing them. And then they throw away an 8-kill lead. You would kill for that kind of lead towards the end of a game. If it was 48 to 40, you'd be thinking, all right, this game's done. But suddenly at 10-2, you would just allow the other team to get in because you give away stupid kills.
And you asked the question is, will Shopify Rebellion allow Cloud9 back into the game with a significant lead? They had 6 kills, not quite the 8, but close enough. And we've seen Cykul able to survive with the camouflage. When he's down to a sliver of health, you know he's being called out, he's being screamed out, he's down to a little bit of wind might take him out, but in the end, they have now cut that 6 down to 4. Still a lot of game left to play here. 7 minutes on the clock, so that won't be a factor just yet. Bubu and Sab combine to pick up another couple of kills, so all of a sudden within 2, within touching distance now. And then Shopify Rebellion on the back foot, that's going to help relieve some of the pressure. Royal 2 gets a kill with the help of Frosty. But Avucy will answer back and trade that one out. The 1v2 for Frosty, slides forward, gets the trade. Good from him. As Kuhlect will go down. But he'll take Frosty with him. 1 kill now. The difference between the two teams.
Yeah, Cloud9 have done very well at ensuring this one doesn't run away from things, and they've done that by pretty much pairing up whilst they've been running around, or at least ensuring they are within distance to trade out these kills so that Shopify Rebellion don't manage to get too much of a lead. And just like that, Cloud9 will regain the advantage here. So I said, how would they do when they're down by a significant amount? As you said, it was only 6, but that still shows they have the grit in them to come back even against Shopify Rebellion here.
Do they have the killer instinct? That's going to be the question now, because we're heading towards the business end of this Slayer. That's when your decisions matter most. That's when the pressure starts to ramp up. And any little mistake can cost your team the game, whether it's individual or team-based. Camouflage has just popped up. And these two teams will now fight for it.
Big camo.
Avucy and Co back down though into the locker. So it's Shopify Rebellion who have map control. They're going to slide forward, and the camouflage has now been scooped up without much of a contest at all. And the reason for that is they just didn't have the lines of sight because they were all trapped over towards closet.
Again, you can't allow it to be that easy. This camouflage, I said it was a big one. It could be the last one that we see as we go into now the last real stage of this game. Royal 2 has it. It's a 2-kill lead, only 7 now required, and they are hunting down Cloud9 because Royal 2 provided that info with the camo, and they were able to just sniff out this C9 roster, who now find themselves on the back foot.
The final knockings now, as Cloud9 have started to turtle up. Royal 2's camouflage has now just dissipated, so nothing left to play with. It's going to be all bandits on the map. But all 4 members, make it 3 members of Cloud9 over towards this plaza area, with 1 player still positioned over towards the base. But unfortunately, 2 members go down. Avucy's in big trouble now because they know exactly where he is. He's going to get headed off the pass. Down to no shields. Royal 2 takes care of business. 2 kills required. Make it 1.
Great collapse from Shopify Rebellion as they just do not allow anyone from Cloud9 to escape. Good kill from Kuhlect to keep this game alive, though.
1 kill. Seems only a matter of time. It's a question of if, not when. Sab takes damage, down to no shields, gets taken care of by Cykul with the Shoryuken. And then now Shopify Rebellion do manage to spare the blushes. They do not drop the Slayer. And they're 2 games to the good now, with 1 away from a clean sweep.
I do wonder, is that Cloud9's chances of this series just trickling through their fingers like sand? They had the opportunity at the start of the game. They had a significant lead. They came out of the blocks hot, but sadly did not have the stamina to last throughout that game. And again, Shopify Rebellion showing their experience. No matter if they were behind, no matter if they were ahead, they always had a game plan. And when they did have the chance to push and press this C9 roster, they capitalized.
What do you say sand trickles?
Yes.
Or it sifts through your fingers? Is it normally water that would trickle through your fingers?
I mean, anything could trickle if you wanted to. I could trickle through your fingers.
Huh?
If you really want me to.
Well, I don't know what I want. What I do want is to see the end of this series, and maybe quicker now than ever before.
Well, Origin CTF is going to be the 3rd map, and I said that I would expect this one to go Shopify Rebellion's way, but it's not like it's a bad map for Cloud9, so it's not all doom and gloom, so, you know, always take my stats with a pinch of salt, because sometimes they do get thrown out of the window.
A trickle of salt.
My expectations don't always result in guaranteed results.
So all to do for Cloud9 then, with that Slayer, like you say, trickling through their fingers. I will continue to nail on that one. Yep, Capital Flag Origin, that's how you speak, that's how you do words.
You deserve that.
I did, that's on me. That is karma. That's been going around a lot lately. But what we can say is then, you mentioned some players to watch in games 1 and 2, but Capital Flag, who was that player to watch out for now? Who was the player for Cloud9 that can really get them back into the series?
You probably guess who it is for Cloud9. It's Sab yet again. He seems to be the name that pops up every single time statistically for this roster. It doesn't matter if it's kills, if it's flags, if it's ball. Sab seems to be there every day of the week, but hasn't necessarily done enough in these games to carry the team through. And I think it would be harsh to set that expectation that he has to against a team like Shopify Rebellion, but now when you're 2-0 down and you're requiring a reverse sweep, someone has to do it, right? Someone has to be putting on the big boy pants and saying, all right, it may be Shopify Rebellion, they may be one of the top 2 teams here, but we believe in ourselves, and we also are in a game type that we have success in. One of the key statistical differences between these 2 teams when it comes to capture the flag is Cloud9 have a far better defensive rate. When that flag is pulled, they return that flag 75% of the time. For Shopify Rebellion, when that flag is pulled on Origin CTF, they have never returned that flag. Now that is a significant statistic because it means if we see Cloud9 take control and pull a flag, the likelihood is Shopify Rebellion are going to give it up. They like to give it up so they can then regain map control, and that is also why they then win this map, because they don't care about one flag. It doesn't matter if you drop 1, if you drop 2, as long as you are gaining that map control afterwards, they often get a flag bounced back and go on to win the game.
So you think the strategy for Cloud9, with that bearing in mind, do you think if C9 get that 1 flag capture lead, with them having a 75% success rate in returning flags, that maybe what they do is they prioritize getting 1, maybe getting 2 if they can, of course, but if they have a 1 flag advantage, trying to hold it because they're so good at defense?
I think if you've noticed the tendencies, if you've done your prep work, if the coaches actually looked at this and said, Shopify Rebellion do tend to give this flag up, if you start to move that flag, you can actually, instead of kind of private escort back to the base with your teammates, just say, actually, we don't need it. We believe we can take that gamble that they are not going to try and hunt us down here. Instead, let's focus on keeping map control and let that flag do its thing. If it goes wrong once, who cares? We've learned a lesson, and then we can play it a little bit differently next time. I would say when you 2-0 down in this series, it could be worth taking that risk.
Yeah, I think it's important because it is all trial and error. You can recognize the tendencies that they've made, like you rightfully say, and if you notice you're not maybe getting contested like you should, they're not chasing that flag back looking to get the return, you can then use that as a springboard and a blueprint to gain victory. That's something that Cloud9 have to do, maybe think outside the box.
But you asked in terms of like players to watch, I gave you a course from Cloud9. On the side of Shopify Rebellion, it is Frosty, averaging around a 2.14 KD when it comes to this map and mode. Doesn't really surprise you when you think about Origin, you think about the origins of this map, a heavily Halo 5 map. That was when Frosty was in his prime. Well, maybe you could say he's in his prime now, but that was when certainly he was winning championships. That was when he was looking unbelievable, and I do think that this is Frosty's kind of map.
Well, he certainly was the player in Halo 5. Coliseum is what it was called back then. He was the one pushing the meta, showing those little jumps, finding little places that he can stand, little nooks and crannies. That was Frosty. That was him in his element, using Coliseum as his jungle gym of sorts. And on Origin, he really does seem very comfortable.
I mean, it's funny because I look at Game 5 and Solitude is the same. Frosty is also the standout statistical player for this team. And again, another map that was very prevalent in Halo 5 as well. It just seemed to be his comfort zone, right? He just taps into something else, goes back in the history books, and he is just rolling through teams once again. So perhaps he can be one of the key reasons why Shopify Rebellion closed this one out 3-0. But again, you look across the board, all 4 of these members, or you look at the coach best man behind them, this is a roster that, as Clutch said, can win championships. Not just one-off. They are Optic's main rival here in this HCS, and they can definitely do it.
And that has been the question, right? Because of the way the last couple of tournaments have gone, Optic Gaming have gotten the better of them, even though they've come through the elimination bracket. You start to ask the question, is it the top 2, or have Optic Gaming just separated themselves a little bit? Have they separated themselves in the pack? Is it now a 1, a gap, then 2, 3, 4, as follows? Have Optic Gaming just been able to put a little bit of distance between them, particularly in the best of 7s, because we know the game against those best of 5s, Shopify Rebellion are more than capable of getting victory?
I think yes and no. I think that they've shown that they have the clutch factor, but at the same time, the fact that Shopify Rebellion are consistently getting to that position to face against them, I would still put them in the same tier. I think those 2 are a tier above everyone else right now, and the real question is anyone going to catch them at this event? I mean, the new phase roster certainly looks pretty good. I think that they're going to have a good stab at it. USSG roster, I think there's a few more questions around that one, and I'm waiting to see how they're going to perform today on the main stage before I really decide how they're going to look here in this tournament.
We won't have to wait long to see SSG in the tournament playing on the main stage, and you won't have to wait long to watch the conclusion to this series either. Shopify Rebellion, Cloud9, Game 3, CTF Origin has all the ingredients to be a banger. Whether you want to see Shopify Rebellion close out this series or Cloud9 to breathe new life into it and maybe push us on a little bit further. But what we do know is Cloud9 need to win this one, Dan, because otherwise they're most likely to finish second in the pool.
As I said though, Cloud9, this series does get better for them from this point, so if they can squeeze out a victory here, if they can take down Shopify Rebellion, one of their best maps and modes, Rechargeable and Solitude Slayer, both fantastic for them. So there is still a chance here, albeit maybe a slim one after what we've seen so far for Shopify Rebellion, but I don't think you should be too disheartened if you're a Cloud9 fan or a Cloud9 player on that stage, because they've actually been putting up a really good fight here against one of the best teams in the world.
And for a lot of people, Cloud9 coming into this tournament might have been their dark horse. You expect that this is the kind of team that can finish top 6, if not even push further than that, and challenge some of the top 4 teams. Now, although in games 1 and 2 they didn't take a game, they were definitely competitive, and if they just maybe altered the strategy, made a few less mistakes, they would have seen a little bit more success. But we're underway in game 3 now. Cykul's gotten a kill. Actually, Royal 2 got a kill, but off the good work of Cykul. Now Rockets will be his reward. Bubu dubu falls. Now the world is Cykul's oyster.
That was a confident player as well. Oh, well played by Kuhlect. The rocket will still connect in the end, but Kuhlect recognizing it was going to be rocket launcher he's going up against, just sliding past that initial rocket, and just like that, by the way, blink and you'll miss it. It's a 1-0 lead for Shopify Rebellion.
I think I did blink and I did miss it actually. Where did that flag go? Off in a hurry. So the worst possible start for Cloud9, it must be said. But did the sniper rifle get scooped up by somebody? Has it been rescued? Or has it fallen into the hands of the enemy? Cloud9 put it to work.
It is worth noting that Shopify Rebellion do have a 75% cap success rate when they pull a flag, but that would have gone up with that one because it was a pull.
It's probably an 83% chance. No, it's rough maths.
Suddenly they look that little bit better, and now they can take control of this map. And again, if you go 1-0 up, and you do play the way that we expect them to play, if that flag gets pulled far enough that they just say, all right, we'll leave it, we'll let it go, the back and forth would end up in favor of Shopify Rebellion.
Well, it was interesting when you mentioned how for Cloud9 they have a 75% stoppage rate.
Yep.
Rebellion have a 75% cap rate. So is that some sort of rock, paper, scissors game we're playing where they just keep throwing rocks at each other?
Well, maybe not enough rocks were thrown by Cloud9. Shopify Rebellion were able to bypass them all. But what seemed like an easy flag, just because we were watching what happened with the Rockets, as the flag will be taken here by bubu. Now this 0% flag stop rate might change
it's about to take
right here,
it's about to take
right now, as they are returning the flag. And just like that, the statistic is completely wiped off the face of the earth. It
was fun while it lasted. We had a good time, we had a good run.
Great run. Whenever there's a 0% or 100% start, you've got to talk about it until it gets deleted.
Didn't take long for it to be deleted. 2 minutes against Shopify Rebellion. Frosty in the window. That's not exactly where you want to see. He's done a little bit of peep and Tom, but a bit more damage. Sab's back base needs help. Bubu dubu over towards the cave. Sab will eventually get taken down. Frosty, will he be able to get away without taking a lot of damage? The answer is yes. 1 tick is all he received. Avucy, the last man alive, over towards the maze. Have they been keeping tabs on him? The answer is yes. Down to no shields. Frosty though loses him for a second, but not enough to spare any real damage. That flag will keep on moving and grooving. Royal 2 to the good now for Shopify Rebellion, not only in the game, but in the series. 4 dead for Cloud9 once more.
We're saying now like an 85% cap rate, could be going up as well. Another flag is going to be moved. Royal 2 has eyes on it as well. Cloud9 find themselves 2 dead. And this one could be very quickly won by Shopify Rebellion if they are not careful. You need a heroic play here, and maybe Avucy can do it here. Nope. Nope. Denied.
Access denied. Doesn't have the ribs. Royal 2 will go down. That's a big kill for them as well because he was doing so much damage up there on his perch.
Flag did drop though.
What's the return rate now? There's 2 players to send on it. It does get sent home, so Cloud9's day is not going to get much worse. Frosty though has just seen a sniper rifle pop up on his screen, although he wasn't able to put it to use. He now knows exactly where his position. He passed the information over to Royal 2, and he's a man that can put this to work very quickly. Bubu dubu loses the shield over towards Pyramid. He backs away towards Lights then, and will continue to be an influence and a nuisance for Cloud9. Finally shut him down, but not before Royal 2 took the shields of 1.
Yeah, shouldn't have really been able to connect with that shot. I don't think they're going to get punished for it, but again, again, that is exactly what Shopify Rebellion have been doing all series long. Just getting that extra little bit of damage, just to, even if it doesn't result in a trade, what it does do is it slows Cloud9 down, because suddenly you have to back off, you have to regain your shields, and by doing that, you are not gaining map control, which allows Shopify Rebellion off spawn to instead push up with their teammates, and they have map control yet again here.
It is that. It's just applying that little bit of pressure to make the opposing team hesitate just a touch, because every second they burn is a second gain for Shopify Rebellion. Speaking of time gained, flag's already at almost the halfway point. 40%. There we go. Bubu, not long for this world. LastShot spins in a dime, lines up Avucy, but he's not going to show himself for now. But unfortunately for him, Royal 2 will be there. There was an unofficial 4 dead for a moment. LastShot should be able to bring this one all the way home without much contention whatsoever. LastShot slams it in. Shopify Rebellion complete the clean sweep.
And Shopify Rebellion made that look very comfortable. Do not get me wrong, I think Cloud9 did put up a fight at certain points throughout that series, but ultimately Shopify Rebellion have shown their class and have shown why they are one of the favorites to win this tournament, and one of the favorites throughout the entire HCS. We start to move on and think about the World Championship toward the end of this year. Can Shopify Rebellion convert this tournament into a trophy win, or will they have to go up against the demons of Optic Gaming yet again? I mean, only time will tell, but at their first test here, it has been a 100% success rate, and that is a stat that certainly stays.
Something we can talk about, of course, is that we mentioned on the desk for Cloud9, they were playing with house money, Dan. Although they might have lost house money, they got more LAN reps. This is not the kind of series where their tournament is dictated. It's not where they will value whether it's a win or a loss here. For them, they'll set their sights on some of the teams that are sort of in their tier, in their pack. And although you say they were competitive, just did not have enough against Rebellion. And Clutch spoke about it, how this should be a 3-0, and ultimately it was.
Yeah, I mean, their tournament won't be won or lost in pool play here. Their expectation would have been to drop against Shopify Rebellion, and their aim would have been second place in this pool. And then they'll have to turn their sights to whoever they would be facing in that winner's bracket. But there is still the open bracket team who could definitely change things. I mean, we always say the what ifs, and there are some good open bracket teams that exist, so it's not definitely done by Cloud9. And remember, Shopify Rebellion still have to play their series against Z10, but I think Clutch will tell you himself how
let's not mention
how that
Z10
one's going to go.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Or we could. Joking. Gotta say, Shopify Rebellion, wow. What a statement already made on day one. And to be honest, it's business as usual for this SR roster, Clutch. But I think, in all, I want to kind of spotlight Cykul. You mentioned how disgusting Cykul is as a player. And I gotta say, he's just gross. And on that last one is exactly what the show he put on for us. I mean, unbelievable stuff. 14-5 from the young man. And they're just looking more comfortable, aren't they?
Yeah, I think this is a Shopify that we've come to expect, especially on Pool Play Friday. They are a team that has been perfect on Friday so far throughout this year, and they look still perfect to me. That's a tough team to beat, and you can see that that boot camp that they kicked off a week ago, they've really tried to put in the extra effort to come into this event, start on the right foot. They've done just that. Yeah, I think a criticism that you can really label and put on the foot of Optic Gaming is when they go into pool play, they are susceptible to a wobble, to getting a team, a nemesis, a TSM. They will wobble them, they will take a game off them, a series off them. And Shopify Rebellion, they're not a team that really get challenged in pool play. They come correct, they mind their P's and Q's, and they tend to go unbeaten in these group stages.
Certainly. I mean, you're looking at the strongholds here, and at one point, Cloud9 were actually looking like they were testing them a little bit. It was starting to get neck and neck, and then you just see Shopify run away from it. It just, every single time, it feels like they're always one step ahead, and even when a team is starting to make a comeback, starting to find a groove, they always have an answer for it, and a lot of that comes from Frosty and honestly Royal too, because the no scopes that they produce, the damage that they deliver for the rest of their team, it's so much easier to gain number control once again when they're doing that.
Yeah, it's not only do they find an answer, it's like they have an extra gear that they can tap into when they need to. They could be in cruise control, the game and the series could be quite close, then they say, all right, I've had enough of this, they slam it into an extra gear, and they start hitting headshots.
But a lot of it is just confidence. Knowing you can hit those shots, knowing you can hit the body shot, or sometimes even a headshot. I think there are some players in this league that maybe wouldn't try what they do because they don't have that confidence, or they feel like if they go for it, they miss it, they give the sniper away, and then suddenly you find yourself in a terrible situation. But both Royal 2 and Frosty know that they can hit those shots, and boy, do they entertain.
Yeah, they certainly do. I think something that I do love about Shopify Rebellion and Clutch is the way that they assess the percentage of a decision. And they do it so quickly, but they always somehow manage to make the right decision. And it's incredible incredible. It's impeccable, to be perfectly honest with you. It's like, okay, for example, there we saw Cykul in the highlights grabbing the rockets. He could have easily used one of those rockets to the person down bottom mid. Doesn't, because he knows, quickly assessing, he has an advantage. They are weak. Let me just use what I've got on me, and I'll save that rocket for a second kind of time that I can possibly get the best out of it. It's incredible.
Yeah, when you were to talk about decision making, I think your opportunities start to grow when you got the individual skill that these 4 players have. In my opinion, this is the 4 best, the best individual team that we have on the circuit. I think that like gun up to gun up, they can hang even with Optic, but that opens up so much opportunities as far as, do I choose to use this rocket? Like, they trust in their shots. You talked about the confidence, Dan, of these players. These players know that they are the best, some of the best in the world, but they probably would tell you that they are the best in the world. We need to see them play with that level of confidence against teams like Optic if they want to claim a championship and actually earn the right to say that they're the best in the world.